I wanted to bring this up, and we're still rolling, right? Got a call last night from an old friend's wife, said, I hate to bother you. Well, Johnny Ray fell off the wagon. He's been gone all afternoon. So one of the things that has been one of the most incredible things about all of our relationship, for me, has been coming over and going hunting with y'all. And I mean, so years ago, we pretty much lost our ducks around here. I mean, you can still go out somewhere and fix you up a pond and a blind and shoot a couple in a day, maybe, which is not what y'all do.
Some days we're real good at that.
Yeah, well, that's anywhere you go. But, I mean, I've been over there with y'all when it was better than anywhere you could go in Arkansas.
Sure.
And I haven't seen ducks like that since I was a little kid. Before I ever even blew a duck call, we were blessed around here. Like the best year I ever had was 1985. It came a horrible snow and ice combination. It was 8 or 9 inches, and then some of it melted off, and then it came back again, and they were everywhere. We would literally go in the river bottom, lay down in the middle of a cornfield, cover ourselves up in plastic, throw snow on top of each other, and they would come and land all around us, and we'd just raise. I guess probably illegal. Am I talking about something?
No, I think you're all good.
There's probably still some of that that goes on.
But as long as you stay underneath something called the limit.
Yeah, no, we were good. We were good. No, yeah, it has been the coolest thing to come over, though. I mean. And your blinds are not like cushy. I'm not saying that, but people that hadn't been in a really good duck blind where there's, you can go back there and cook something to eat and all that kind of stuff. It's just been one of the grandest experiences. My wife said, I believe you'd go over there and stay and just live in the duck blind.
Well, I think my wife would probably say that's pretty much what I do for 60 days. And it's really great that I can be from the blind to my office in about 25 minutes. But there's not many days I miss, and it's such a huge part of our lives.
I know it is.
There's been more business deals, more family events held in a duck blind in Northwest Tennessee than anything else you can imagine. But it's just being out there in nature, the screaming and yelling at your buddies as you're trying to throw out decoys, and just everything that the whole production puts on is just completely a way of life for so many of us, in West Tennessee. And I hope that never goes away.
I don't think it will. I think it's too much of a tradition for you guys. Now, you ain't big into the duck hunting, are you?
No, I hunted a lot when I was a kid, and you were talking about laying in the field. I can remember when I was in high school, and I had some buddies up there, last name Gooch, and Gooch is a big name up in Northwest Tennessee, Reelfoot Lake area.
I'm familiar with that name.
But I was hunting with a buddy of mine and a couple other guys, but I can remember being in a goose pit in the middle of a field, and I don't know if something was wrong or it was more water than normal, but I can remember it being 15, 20 degrees, and the water was waist deep in this pit, and we were in it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, you hear these blinds and these pits, heat and food and all that fancy stuff. Yeah, that's some of them, but then there's some like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
you're right.
So I can remember some of my hunting experiences being pretty interesting.
And that was the day you said, I'll just stick to playing basketball.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on that too, because where did you play college ball?
Well, I played college ball at a small NAIA school about the size of Union in Jackson called College of the Ozarks.
Okay, that's right. Yep. I knew that.
Yep, that was a...
Chuck was a hell of a basketball player. I mean, like I didn't realize, my mother was too, by the way. I didn't realize how much until I got to talk to some other people, because he won't talk about it. He ain't going to brag on himself or whatever, but I got to talk to some other people who are close friends of y'all's, and he said, oh, man, listen, that boy could play some round ball. So that's pretty cool, man.
That was a big thing back, especially in my days, O'Brien County Central, and basketball was just huge back then, and selling out the gyms.
Well, I mean, you can't tell it by his beautiful physique. But this guy,
oh wow,
and I can barely.
going there.
I can barely remember him. I remember him playing in college, but we were just so young in high school. He's 14 years older than me.
Right.
But I was, I would walk in places and say, I used to watch your brother as a sophomore in high school at what, 5'9" or 5'8".
Yeah.
slam dunk it behind his back.
Yes, sir. I've heard the same thing.
Like, that just seems so foreign to me.
Yeah,
but,
you got leap, man. I've kind of been wanting to challenge you to a little one-on-one, but
I would pay.
I'm not
good money
sure.
for.
Honestly, I'm not sure that I could handle it at this time in my life.
I can probably still shoot the ball a little bit, but as far as getting around,
let me tell you what
different.
Let me tell you what I did. It was my last radio tour trip. And thank God I ain't doing that every day of my life now. We got up in Philly, I believe, and they had these guys go down every day after they eat lunch and shoot basketball. They got a gym in the basement, and the guy got me on air and started saying, Worley can't dunk. He's too big and clumsy. Worley can't dunk. Well, there was a time when I could just stand flat-footed under the goal and go up and slam it any way I wanted to. But how many years had it been? And I weighed probably 195 at that time, and now was probably, when they were doing this, I'm around 245. So I said, I promise you I can still dunk. And I'm thinking, man, I'm getting myself in over my head, because if I can't do it, they're going to come back up here and get on the air and tell the truth, and that's going to be really embarrassing. So we go down there, and it took me about, I had to loosen up a little bit, of course, but it took me about 7 or 8 tries, and then I slammed 2 or 3 in a row, and I mean, I threw them down with it was serious. The next day, because I couldn't do it flat-footed anymore, so I was running and jumping off this left leg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The next day, I almost had to go. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. It was my calf. It would just. I mean, of course, you think about it. Now you weigh 245, and you're running, and everything's on that one calf muscle when you go off that one leg. The next day, about 11 o'clock, it just went like that, and it would not let go, man. And I said, never again. So if I do any of that stuff again, I'm gonna jump some rope for about a year and lose some weight.
Extensive training. Like, I had to go to SEAL training to play around a basketball.
Exactly. I've got a similar story, and you'll get a kick out of this. Don will know exactly what I'm talking about.
You're fixing to talk about the hunting lodge, aren't you?
About the hunting lodge.
Yep.
I love that place.
This was a few months back, and we were all out and had a few beers. There was a fire going and everything. Yeah, surely not. But anyway, Don and them got to talking about me jumping, and somebody pointed up at this little wood beam that was not very high.
Fire, just the truss over the fire.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Not very high off the ground. And said, one of them bid or said something, said, see if you can touch that beam or whatever. And again, this thing is not high up at all.
I'm gonna call it
so
like
I look at it.
9 feet, maybe?
I don't know. I looked at it and I thought, I've got this. And I have never felt more planted to the ground in my life until I tried to jump up and hit this thing. And so I jumped. Didn't get high off the ground, came nowhere near touching it, and I think my ankle is still sore today from that. And so, yeah, my jumping days are over with. I am 50, fixing to be 52.
Oh gosh, I'm way older than you. Yep. And we were at a function for some of my daughter's friends. It was a graduation thing this past year. It was up here at the Church of Christ, and we had to go in and go around through all these tables and see. They had fixed up all these beautiful displays for each child, but it was in their gym. Savannah goes, "Can you still touch the net, Dad?" I said, "Sweetheart, I can touch the net without jumping." So I grabbed hold of the net. She goes, "Oh my God!" And that was such a big deal to her. She goes, "Can you touch the rim?" I said, "Yeah, I could probably touch the rim," and she goes, "Will you do it?" And so they had cleaned everything out, and one of the basketball goals was not, there's nothing around, so it wasn't dangerous. So I took a couple steps and jumped up and grabbed the rim, and it was a breakaway, and it started coming down. I thought, I better turn it loose. But before my feet hit the ground, both my calf muscles locked up, and it was from that one jump, But it's not like jumping rope. It's you're putting everything you got into that one jump, and years ago, we didn't have to even think about that because they just worked like they were supposed to. And I'll tell you something about people can jump. People that, like yourself, who's your height, that can do all that slamming and stuff, that's a very unusual thing, and it's called quick twitch muscles. Not everybody has that. I have it. I could jump.
I do not.
I could jump. And I was tall, so my little brother has it. He can leap. But people like you are unusual. My wife's older brother is shorter than you are, and he could slam dunk with both hands, and he was flat-footed as a goose. Yeah. And we could still get up, man, and that's that. You can tell when you watch somebody walk across. I'm like, that dude probably can jump out of the gym, So that was Chuck.
That was Chuck.
That's awesome, man.
That was a long time ago, and it was back then. And I'll tell this right quick. We'll move on, but they would come get me out of class. The ball coaches, they'd have visitors come in, and they would come get me out of the class in high school to come into the gym and dunk for people that would come in there because they just couldn't believe it or whatever.
You can go ahead and call it scouting if you want to.
But those days have long since
Well,
passed.
brother, I'm right there with you. My brother is challenging me with something new every day. I have been back in the gym a little bit, and I've been getting a little more physical. I've actually started back running some, and so my brother's on me about doing a 5K. And I might try to do it because I can tell that it's any of that physical stuff you do helps your singing, and if that's the case, it keeps me, more longevity, dude. We got to stay in it for the long haul. I got bills to pay.
Well, hopefully one of these days I'll drive down Highway 64 and here comes Darryl running up the side of it. Like, he is doing it. He is doing it.
It'll have to be Highway 203.
Okay,
I ain't gonna get that far from home.
Yep.
So I was just curious. We actually mentioned it earlier, but we didn't really get into it at all. Just if we could talk a little bit just about the equipment industry and or how that's changed or how it's affecting you guys.
Yeah, so I mean, gosh, we could spend 2 hours talking about everything that has gone on the past several years. So, of course, the equipment market right now is probably the most difficult to navigate that I've seen since we've been in business. And there's several factors to that, but a lot of equipment dealers at the onset of COVID really pushed a huge demand out there.
Sure.
Within 6 months, we all thought the world was fixing to come to an end, and we're going to stop working Saturdays. We're going to do all these things, and within about 2 weeks, we realized we couldn't be any more wrong.
Right.
The opposite is now taking place.
Right.
And demand is surging. People are moving. They're going out to the country. They're spending all this time out there. So, which seems like a great deal. And it was, business is booming, but the supply was not in place for the level of demand. So we had this really huge surge, and then the availability of equipment got tough. So, that was kind of a battle in itself. And then at the end of COVID, it kind of swung back the other way.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden dealers have huge amounts of inventory on the ground, and the demand is beginning to collapse. So, just trying to navigate that time into now.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And like I said, it's almost like I tell people all the time, it's like a pendulum.
Sure.
The past several years, it's been swinging from one direction all the way back to the next. So kind of returning to a time of more consistency is definitely something we're looking forward to. But, right now, for example, the agriculture market, commodity prices are really, really down, and expenses are still through the roof. So the ag industry right now is probably in the worst shape that it's been in since the late 80s. Of course, way before I was even on this earth. So there's a lot of farmers. Sorry guys. But there's a lot of farmers. There's a lot of people that are involved in the ag industry that are hurting really, really more than I think what the general public understands.
You're absolutely right.
And that in rural markets like us, where that's East Arkansas, West Kentucky, West Tennessee, that is such a ag centric economy, that is really having pressure on anybody that's involved in that business or touching that industry.
Sure.
Which is pretty much everybody. So, right now we're seeing the consumer market. So your small tractors, the cattle industry is doing okay.
Yeah.
And the construction industry is still holding on well. So we're seeing that kind of return to what I would consider normal levels.
That's good.
And then if we can just get these commodity prices up a little bit.
Man, I think it's going to happen. I truly believe that with some of the changes that have been going on in our country, that it's going to happen. I think there may be a little bit of a lag time with it. That's the way it's looking. But I know that's on the agenda. I truly do.
I hope so.
I think it is. And I think that it has to be, because the platforms and things that our leadership ran on, they kind of made those promises, and I believe they'll have to, make good on them. And so,
yeah, and that's the big thing that I worry about now. So you've got dealers, and sometimes the bigger you are, the tougher it is, or even the small mom and pop dealers, the tariff environment. There's so many factors.
Sure.
Again, back to commodity prices, but there's so many factors that affect our business, and it's to see a return to consistency and normalcy. I think is going to be super healthy for the equipment industry.
Sure.
You'll see used prices stabilize. You don't want used stuff too low, and you don't want it too high.
Right.
So again, just consistency in the industry is really kind of what I think everybody, and it doesn't matter what color, brand you sell or service, getting back to normalized market conditions is going to help level off prices, cost of service, cost of parts. So there's so many things that go into affect that. And I think we're hopefully seeing a return to some consistency, and hopefully by sometime early next year, we can kind of all step back and say, okay, we're not putting out one fire to another, but we're right on a nice level playing field that I think we all would enjoy seeing.
That's awesome.
So fingers crossed for that one of these days.
Absolutely. Prayers going up, dude. That, no doubt. Because, I've known from the very get-go that you guys were all in, and it's a pretty impressive thing that y'all have done. And but I also see how calculated it has been. It has to be when you go into business at this magnitude. If you don't calculate, you're going to wind up in some trouble.
Sometimes I feel like our calculator's not working too good, but all in all, hopefully that's the case.
Well, I'll wrap this up by saying this. Coming down here that day and hanging out with Ron for a few minutes, getting to know Chuck before any of this ever happened. This has been truly a blessing in my life, for me, for my career, and for just me and my family, becoming friends and partners with you guys. And I just hope that we can do it for a whole lot of years to come. This right here, this little forum right here is something that needs to happen on a regular basis. And people can then go, well, let's just go to YouTube and we'll find the latest update they did with Darryl Worley on his podcast. You guys you got more skin in the game with Darryl Worley than anybody else. Y'all are my biggest partner, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thankful for
appreciate it as well.
Absolutely, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Sounds Like Life is a Rivertown Media production. Hosted by Darryl Worley, produced and edited by Mike Murphy, talent manager Julianne Drennan, executive producers Paul and Ashley Perry.